In 3 days I still hadn't found work. I offered violin instruction to rich families, but looking as disheveled as I did, and with no violin in hand, the matrons looked down their imperial noses at me. I gave up. I then went to Mary Allen's shop, which I patronized weekly, but she had nothing. I slunk away, burning with shame and humiliation. I begged storekeepers, and I do emphasize begged, for employment. Alas, no one had any use for a shop girl, clothes washer, potato digger, maid, or latrine scrubber. After 3 days with no prospects, I held up my purse and shook it. The few remaining coins clinked. After tomorrow, I would be out on the street. Oh, if only I'd banked some of that money James had given me, instead of frittering it away on flubdubs. I'd followed every step of Alexander's creation of the first bank as it appeared in the newspapers, and so admired his fiscal genius. Now, instead of being one of his bank's first depositors, I wandered the streets destitute. That eve I lay on the thin mattress in the stuffy garret room and closed my eyes. A vision of Alexander entered my mind, and I grew warm inside. I let my mind journey to the first night we met, January of 1786, at Aaron Burr's home. Aaron had asked me to bring my violin and perform. I willingly accepted. The group gathered round me in a whoosh of rustling taffeta and fluttering fans. I looked up to see Alexander, his gaze fixed on mine. As he smiled, a hot surge ripped through me. The chandelier candles heated my skin like the blazing sun. Returning his smile, I forced my eyes off him, nestled the violin under my chin, and gave a lively performance of Mozart's Turkish March. I finished to a burst of applause and cheering. Still aware of him watching me, his eyes slipping to my décolletage, I dipped a curtsy. "You play as exquisitely as you look." He caressed my violin like a beloved pet. Then he clasped his fingers round mine, raised my hand to his lips, and kissed it. "I want to hear more from your violin, but much more from you, Maria." His nearness enthralled me. I knew he was a flirter, but I was a married lady, and he a married man, with wads of children. The reverie over, I opened my eyes to my shabby surroundings and oppressive confinement. Knowing what I must do, I pushed myself off the cot, dashed down the stairs, out the door, and to the nearest stationer's. I purchased a packet of elegant writing paper with barely enough coin left for breakfast. Returning to the house, I borrowed a pen and ink from Mrs. Norris's desk, and composed the most important, and I admit pitiful letter I'd ever written. Desperate, hungry, and bereft of dignity, I begged Alexander Hamilton to help me. I put nib to paper and with great care pinned my woeful entreaty to the Treasury Secretary. My trembling hand spattered drops of ink across the page. So he would not regard me as a common beggar, I wrote, "I am the sister of Colonel Louis Dubois, who led the 5th New York Regiment during the Revolution. He is now Brigadier General of the Dutchess County Militia. My sister Susanna is married to distinguished attorney Gilbert Livingston of the powerful New York Livingston family. My husband James has treated me cruelly, leaving me for another woman. Alone and destitute," I embellished. "I need immediate assistance, and appeal to your sense of generosity to come to my aid." I recited the missive aloud, blotted the paper, and addressed the envelope to Secretary A. Hamilton as personal and confidential.